Welcome to All For You Stories, where we want you to think different so you act different. Let's go. Someone with No One, Chapter 10. Makes me want to scream. I strolled down both of the aisles of the store before the man even noticed me. I spotted the burner phones by the front register and picked one up. I continued to walk around the store, occasionally glancing over my shoulder. Each time I peeked, it seemed more and more likely he might be sleeping. I walked towards the refrigerator and shoved the package with the phone down my pants. I did it so quickly the edges cut my skin. I turned around, picked up a Snicker, and went to the counter. I paid for the candy, and the man took so long counting my change, I nearly fell asleep. I thanked him and left the store. I took the phone to a place near the corner where the police would probably approach from and made the call. "You better get down here on 6th and Main quick, because somebody about to rob the store with the old Asian man." "Can you repeat, please?" the operator asked. "You heard me. The man on 6th and Main is about to get jacked." "Okay, sir. What is your name?" I hung up and waited to hear sirens so I can go inside, pull the gun, and lay down. I wondered what it would be like in jail. Surprisingly, I felt at peace with the whole thing and knew I would be in a better place. I saw a boy who reminded me of someone from my school. I wondered why he roamed the street like me. He had to be running from something. People didn't just come down here because they wanted to. Being here was like a jail sentence you couldn't escape. I watched him cross the street and then got distracted when he walked past the same dog I saw from the alley. It limped and it seemed skinnier and possibly on the verge of death. As the dog's ribs shifted up and down, a brown van came racing down the street toward the dog. I acted before thinking, dropping the phone and running into the street, yelling for the dog to get out of the way. The boy turned around, but the dog did not. It hobbled down the street without any concern for the van. I thought it might have hit the dog, so I pulled out the BB gun and shot it in the air. It let off a bang so loud the boy dropped to the ground and the van swerved to avoid the dog. The dog moved towards the boy when the sound of the brakes screeching behind me nearly scared me to death. Two men jumped out of a blue sedan with guns drawn. I tossed the BB gun and dove on the ground with my hands spread. The police officer got the BB gun and asked me several questions about it. I told him I planned to meet a friend so we could shoot bottles in the parking lot of one of the abandoned buildings. They believed me and instead of arresting me, made some calls, got in touch with my father, and told me he would be down to pick me up. If they knew the beating I would get, they probably would not have called him. It crossed my mind to tell him that he beats me, but considering what just happened, they probably would not have believed me. I sat in the back of the car and listened to them talk about different things. I've never been a fan of the police, but I have to admit the two of them seemed pretty cool. They didn't talk crazy to me and even offered me one of the muffins sitting between them. My father arrived and did not appear drunk. The officer pulled him to the side to talk while I watched from the back seat. Soon after, they let me out, and the three of them formed a semicircle around me. "I told your father how the BB gun could have gotten you killed tonight. You don't want to ever be around here with anything like this. There have already been too many accidental shootings, and I would hate for something like that to happen to you." He kept talking, but I stopped paying attention when my father moved closer and put his hand on my shoulder like he cared. I almost lost it and told them what kind of father he really is, but stopped when he squeezed. My father complained the first 5 minutes of the ride home. With each word out of his mouth, I regretted not going through with the plan to rob the store. I never should have tried to save that dog. As I rode in the car listening to foolish words from a foolish man, fear turned to courage. "I don't know why you even came to get me." "What did you say?" my father said. "I don't know why you even came to get me. It's not like you want me around anyway." "I don't want you out here embarrassing me because you in these streets acting crazy." I laughed and it made him even more upset. He forgot about the road and glared at me. "What you laughing at?" "You pretending to care anything about me is just funny. We both know how much you hate me." Surprisingly, he stayed quiet and kept driving. His face softened like I said something he did not want the world to know. "We both know you would be happy if I went away and you didn't have to see me again. I'm sure when the police called, you hoped they told you I was dead." No one spoke for a while. He watched the road, and I waited for him to say something to contradict me. He eventually spoke, but in a voice I had not heard since he apologized to my mother for hitting her. "You think I want you dead? I know you want me dead." More silence, and for the first time I understood what my mother must have felt when she forgave him for hitting her. Something about his face made me want to believe him, so when he finally added, "I don't want you dead," I thought he might be telling the truth. Luckily, I knew his tricks from the countless times he pulled them on my mother and wouldn't let him get away with the same mess on me. "And why should I believe you, Pops? Because you haven't killed me yet? Because you bought me a dog when I turned 6? Tell me, Dad, what should make me think anything besides for you wish I was away with Mama?" He didn't say anything, and I decided to stop there. When we arrived at his house, he got out the car and closed the door without saying anything. He walked in the apartment and left the door open for me to enter behind him. I contemplated what would happen if I went in. Considering he beat me without any reason, the probability of him beating me with several good reasons seemed extremely high. I didn't feel like being a punching bag, so instead of going inside, I walked away. On my way to the alley, 2 guys exchanged something I couldn't recognize. One of them saw me as I glanced at him, and it set him off. He yelled something, and the 2 of them came running at me like I just took his baby's brother's lunch money. I didn't understand what was happening, but I also knew this wasn't the time to discuss it. I took off. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, share with someone else, and do what needs to be done. Peace.